Let's just kick things off with a simple question. Last week, were you actually productive or were you just busy? Because trust me, they are not the same thing. Today, we are going to break down the blueprint that'll help you transform how you manage your most valuable asset, your time.
You know that feeling, right? Your calendar is just a wall of back-to-back meetings, you've got this constant flood of urgent requests, and by the end of the day, you're completely wiped out wondering, what did I actually get done? It is such a common trap, but we're here to show you exactly how to flip that dynamic. Look, the reality is simple. You get 24 hours in a day. That's not going to change. So the goal isn't to magically find more hours, it's to get way more impact out of the hours you already have by leading your week with total, absolute intention. This slide just nails the fundamental choice every manager has to make. Are you a firefighter? Constantly just reacting to the next blaze? Or are you an architect, carefully and deliberately building towards a strategic goal? See, the busy manager reacts, the effective manager acts. The only question is, which one do you want to be?
This brings us to the absolute core concept of this whole thing. High payoff tasks. These are the 20% of your activities that, believe it or not, generate 80% of your results. So for an engineering manager, that's unblocking your team on a critical project, not spending an hour reorganizing a spreadsheet. For a sales director, it's coaching your top performers, not sitting in some meeting you probably could have just skipped. Effective management is really about one thing, figuring out your high payoff tasks and then ruthlessly focusing your best energy on them.
So how do we find the space to actually focus on those tasks? Well, before we can plan for the future, we have to get a grip on the present. And that all starts with understanding what you actually have the power to change. Your circle of influence. Think of this as your zone of power. You can't control the market, but you can control your team's weekly priorities. You can't control a client's bad mood, but you sure can control the quality of the proposal you send them. The most effective leaders, they just stop wasting energy on things outside this circle and invest all of it right here, where it actually makes a difference.
And right at the center of that circle of influence is you, your habits, your routines. So any real improvement has to start right there, with a really honest look at what you're actually doing with your time day in and day out. First, let's talk about your strengths. What are you already great at? What's that one thing you always make time for, no matter how crazy the week gets? Recognizing where you're already effective, that's the foundation we're going to build everything else on.
Okay, now for the other side of the coin. Where are the opportunities for growth? What's that important task that just never seems to get off your to-do list? Where are you spending hours and getting very little in return? Look, identifying these patterns isn't about judging yourself. It's about figuring out exactly where one small change can have a huge impact. All right, with that clear-eyed view of your habits in hand, now you can set a really powerful direction. And this isn't about wishful thinking. This is about strategic, smart goal setting. And here is the key to all of it. You have to connect your biggest, grandest ambitions to what you're doing right now, today. This creates this awesome feedback loop. Your long-term vision gives you the why, and your daily progress gives you the motivation to keep going. This slide just illustrates that cascade of focus so perfectly. Your big-picture lifetime goals, they inform your 5-year milestones. Those milestones, they define this year's absolute must-hit targets. And those targets, well, they dictate what you're going to prioritize first thing this morning. See? It's all connected. Now, to make sure these goals actually work, we use the SMART framework. A vague idea like improve team communication is just a recipe for failure. But implement a weekly 15-minute sync-up for the project team starting next Monday to reduce email chains by 50% this quarter. Now that is a real target you can actually hit. It's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And please, whatever you do, do not skip this step. When you and your team hit a target, celebrate it, acknowledge that win. This isn't some fluffy, nice-to-have thing, it is essential fuel. It builds the momentum, the confidence, and the positive culture you need to go after the next big thing.
Okay, so you know what to work on. The next level of this strategy is figuring out when to work on it. This is all about optimizing your personal energy for maximum impact.
Now, really, think about it. When are you at your sharpest? Are you an absolute machine first thing in the morning, or do you really hit your stride after lunch? Understanding your own unique energy cycle is like a secret weapon for doing your best work without getting burned out.
The key is to guard your peak energy time like it's gold.
You match your most difficult, brain-draining, high-payoff tasks to those peak performance windows. Don't waste your best 3 hours of the day on low-impact emails and admin stuff. Use that time for what really, truly matters.
And hey, to maintain that energy for the long term, you need balance. Think of your life like this wheel. For it to roll smoothly, all the spokes need to be in some kind of harmony. If your work spoke is a 10, but your physical is a 2, you are headed for a really bumpy ride, and eventually burnout. Just looking at this, which area needs a little more of your focus right now?
All right, let's bring this all home. We're moving from these powerful ideas to a practical, actionable structure for your week. This is where the real change happens.
Principle 1, pay yourself first with your time. Before you do anything else when you're planning your week, block out time for your high payoff tasks. Do it early in the week, put it on your calendar, make it non-negotiable, and then protect that time fiercely. This is how you guarantee the important work gets done, not just the urgent stuff.
Principle 2. Batch the small stuff. Don't let your emails, Slack messages, and reports bleed into every single hour of your day. Group all of that administrative work together. Dedicate a specific time block. Maybe it's 45 minutes after lunch to just power through all of it at once. This keeps all that noise contained and your focus razor sharp.
We've covered the entire framework, but knowing the path is completely different from actually walking the path. Knowledge without action is really just trivia, so it is time to make this real.
I'm going to leave you with this one challenge. Don't try to change everything overnight. That's a recipe for failure. Just pick one thing. Based on everything we've just talked about, what is the single most impactful action you will take this week to move from just being busy to being truly effective? Define it, commit to it. Now, what will your future self thank you for starting today?